But I think it was probably the day after that we were like, okay, something's not right. So that's when my aunt started contacting like the police and people he was supposed to be around. And she went and searched, down by the river for him. I just feel like it's just now starting to like set in, really. That we might not find him.
Warning. The podcast you're about to listen to may contain graphic descriptions of violent assaults, murder, and adult language. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the Murder Police Podcast. This is the 8th and final episode of Never Forget Little Timmy. As I've said since episode 1, someone knows something. This family deserves answers, and it's our hope that they get them soon. Thanks for listening. Please share with your friends. Welcome to the Murder Police Podcast. Today we have with us Bree, who is cousin of Little Timmy Sterner. So Bree, thank you for joining us.
Thank you all for taking the time to interview our family.
How are you doing today?
We're good. How are you?
We're great. David, how are you?
Excited to learn more about who Timmy is. And again, I got to say, now that we're on air too, you have two very beautiful young ladies for daughters.
Thank
we
you.
got to meet them briefly as Bree came in. And like you said, I imagine they keep your hands full, but it's probably a good way of keeping your hands full.
Oh, yeah.
Too,
very busy, but we love it.
Yeah, for sure. But again, we love the idea that you all trust us enough to share Timmy's story, to keep the awareness out and see if we can find out where he is and what happened.
Yeah, we definitely want to keep it out there. I feel like it's kind of calmed down, or I wouldn't say calmed down, but pretty quiet.
There we go. And that happens. I think there's still work being done, but
in the back scenes, there's work being done. Yeah.
But we've talked too that Nicholasville, where we're all from, is a fantastic little city, and it's fantastic because it's little. And I think keeping it alive in this town is what's going to matter, is to keep people talking about it and thinking.
And that's our hope by doing the podcast, is to, number one, most importantly, find you all answers and bring justice to Timmy. And whoever's done it, they got it coming. So we hope that justice is served to those people who are responsible for this. So let me begin with thanking you again for coming, and tell us, you're cousins with Timmy. Tell us how it was growing up with him.
So I'm Timmy's first cousin. I was the first granddaughter born March 1996, and Timmy came right after me. He was born in November of 96, so we were very close.
You all grew up really close.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, we were, the first cousins before our siblings came along. So we mostly grew up like brother and sister. He was more like a brother to me than a cousin. Oh, but he was so much fun, but he was always getting in trouble. We just have a very close-knit family, very loyal. Our mothers always stressed us that, they're not always going to be here. So we were just going to have each other. And we just always were doing everything together, playing outside, grew up together, holidays. They were always around. So when I had my little brother, it was almost like he was just an addition.
There were three of you all
now.
Oh,
and then my cousin Lexi came along, and it was the four of us for years and years. So we're all very close. I don't know. I just felt like a big sister to him compared to a cousin.
Did you all go to school together as well growing up?
Where I had an earlier birthday, so he was always a year behind me. Yeah. But we always would go to our little grannies together. And like if we had to do our shots, we usually went together.
Yeah.
My grandmother told me the story about where we had to get our school shots. And I just kept telling her, I'm going to be brave. I'm going to be a big girl. I'm just going to do it. So I got up there and done it. And Timmy hid the whole time under the doctor.
He wasn't having no part of it.
Yeah. And so she said when I was done, I cried a little bit. And he was like, yep, nope, not doing it. So then he took off running. So then they had to find him. He was hiding somewhere in
and
the
made it worse
office.
when they probably had to hold him down.
Yeah, yeah. So that was, I just love hearing the stories like that. Just from like my grandmother's perspective. And his mom tells us stories. And she was telling me the other day about how I guess we rode the same bus together. And there was this kid that was picking on me, even though I was the older cousin. Timmy was always tougher. And he like pushed me down, and Timmy told his mom, and she was like, well, you didn't beat him up? And he was like, she was like, you got to protect your cousin. So the next day he beat him up. And he came home. He was like, Mom, I got that guy that was bothering Bree.
He was so proud that he
was,
did it.
yeah. He's like, I done what she told me to. I protected her. So
good for him.
Yeah, we always looked out for each other. Like
and that's what we've heard by several people that we've interviewed, that if Timmy was in your corner, he was there.
Yes. Yep. Yes.
You didn't have to worry about nobody bothering you.
No. He is probably the most loyal person that I've ever known.
Yeah.
That's what we keep hearing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything when he went to school, speaking of school, was there anything that he was attracted to over other things in school? Or how do you think about
sports or anything like that?
Him and my brother both played football together. They were on the same football team.
Uh-huh.
And then me and my cousin Lexi cheered on the same team for them. So, like I said, we done everything together. But he loved his sports, was really good at football. Academically, I wouldn't say that was his favorite, but he definitely loved like the gym and working out.
Busy stuff.
Yeah. He was
stuff.
all about like the strength. Like even when he went to prison, he stayed on that. Like he worked out every day. He said that's how he really kept himself busy in there.
Yeah, he needed something to distract him probably, from that much time especially. So good for him on that too. And not as far as school, I don't think any of us honestly loved it.
Yeah, I don't think there's a love for it, is there?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think you just do it because you have to.
Yeah. I was always the nerdy cousin, but...
Well, I always tell Wendy she was the one offering to clean the erasers and the chalkboard. I have no doubt that she was sharpening pencils for the teacher and brought an apple every day.
Yeah, I was probably quite nerdy, like Ralphie on Christmas Story, how he's bringing her the big fruit basket. I was probably the brown noser, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Brown, that's
I'm still like that as a parent. I'm like, here, girls, take your sugar paper donut.
That's right.
Yeah. Donuts, coffee.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So you played football. You cheerleaded on the same team too. What school was that when it was?
It was for just Jessamine County youth. Broncos is the team that we were on. Elementary they don't offer, or they might now, but when we were in elementary, they didn't offer like football teams. So we always done for Jessamine County. Is what we played for. Mm-hmm.
Good deal.
Well, and I think times have changed too from then. Now there's leagues for elementary in every school system, really. So I think that's probably changed. But I'm sure that was a nice way for you all to hang out and still spend cousin time together.
Yeah.
And being on the same teams, especially.
Yeah. Him and my brother are always practicing, and they get mad at each other and then try to tackle each other, but you couldn't tackle either one of them on the field without the other one throwing a fit and trying to protect the other one.
Good. What was his sense of humor like?
Oh, he was so funny.
Yeah.
Like, he would come up with the craziest things just off the top of his head. Like you would think he was just being so serious, but no, he was just joking. Some people got it and some people didn't. Just that type of sense of humor.
Yeah.
He just always made me laugh.
Yeah.
So we know that Timmy went away for a while. Did you get to keep in contact with him during those years?
I did not. Last time I seen Timmy was on March 27th of 2017. It was actually the day I found out I was pregnant with my youngest. Mm-hmm. him and my oldest were very close. So the first time he got out of jail, he came and lived with me. And I had my oldest daughter, and she was like 1.5. They were very close. We call her Kid and Bug, and he was always like, "That's my little bug. That's my dog." Oh. So they were really close. And then when I found out I was having my second daughter, I was so nervous. And he was there when I took the test and it came back positive. And I was stressing out. I was in college, and he was like, "Bree, I don't know why you're worrying. You're already the best mom that I've ever known. You're going to do fine." So that was really helpful.
Especially to hear something like that when you're stressed.
Yeah.
And from
it made me feel a lot better.
Especially somebody like a brother like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Timmy always wanted kids, and it didn't happen, but he loved ours like his own. So that meant a lot to me. Thank you. When he said that.
So you all didn't exchange letters or anything when he went?
No, I was honestly kind of angry at him when he left. I think he started hanging out with some people that weren't the best influence, and he ended up stealing from me before he left. So I felt like after that, I was just kind of angry and didn't keep in contact. But my granny would be like, "Timmy says hi and he loves you," and he asks about Kenna every time he's on the phone. And when they went to pick him up, they were like, that's the first thing he wanted to do. We see pictures of my oldest daughter because he hadn't seen her since she was 1. So he was like, "I can't believe how big she's gotten. I can't wait to see her." So we were really excited to see him. My family tell you I'm horrible for holding grudges.
Oh. I think sometimes all of us are.
I think so too. Yeah.
So,
because, we don't think about what happens in the future. It's always like now.
Yeah.
I think all of us do that.
Yeah.
I think all of us do that.
Well, and I think also maybe given that you all were so close, and then if he had stolen from you, there's probably that sense of betrayal, like, why me? I'm the one you were so close to.
And he was living with me at the time, and I felt like I was, kind of taking care of him and helping him get back on his feet. So I think he just kind of fell back in with the wrong crowd. And it felt like betrayal. Like, out of everyone, I'm helping you. And
I'm the one that you steal from.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some disappointment, because I'm hearing in your voice a lot that, that we all want the best for the people we're closest to. And when people start running down a road and you can't pull them off of it, that's disappointing.
Yeah.
That hurts, because you kind of see the problems, but they don't.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but maybe that even was part of why he had to go away for as long as he did, was that group of people, perhaps, maybe, or the lifestyle they were living and that he was taking part in. So
I was going through our messages this morning, and I read a message where he was like, "I'm so proud of you, and I'm so glad that you didn't turn out like a lot of us in this family, and you just keep doing your best because, and I love you." And he just said, "I'm proud of you." So he was always on me about, like, is Bree still in school? What is she doing? Like, he always asked about me, but we never got the chance to talk. I think I talked to him on the phone once when I was at my grandmother's, and he called her when I was down there, and we talked for a little bit. But we were definitely excited to see him. So, but we didn't get to see him at all.
Yeah. So you all found out he was getting out.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you're probably thinking maybe we'll reconnect and
Yeah.
kind of pick up and catch up over the last 7 years. He's bound to be making better choices now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Introduce him to your second daughter.
Yeah. Because he hadn't got to meet her yet. And I think we were planning like a cookout at Granny's, but nothing was set in stone yet. I'm trying to remember when I found out. I think I had just gotten off work, and they were like, we haven't heard from Timmy. Has he talked to you? And I was like, no. I sent him a message on Facebook because he had added me on Facebook, and I sent him a message, and he hadn't responded. But I think it was probably the day after that we were like, okay, something's not right. So that's when my aunt started contacting like the police and people he was supposed to be around. And she went and searched, down by the river for him. I just feel like it's just now starting to like set in, really, that we might not find him.
Yeah, I guess you got to a point where maybe hope dissipated a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot to say at first because I was like, oh, he just got out. Maybe he's just out living life, but it's not as close as Timmy is with his family and as loyal as he is. It's not like him not to, especially with his mom, not to reach out to her at least once a day. So we knew something wasn't right when we hadn't heard from him.
That's what we're gathering too, is that it doesn't sound like he would just rip and run and take off.
Yeah.
And it comes down to how close your family is.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that, but a lot of people's families aren't as close as yours are either.
Yeah.
And, they have the state police would look at that as a possibility, but it doesn't sound like they're even, from what I've heard from other family members, that they're even entertaining that.
Yeah.
That it's looking more and more like foul play of some kind. And, we have an address, we have a group of people that we'd call it last known location, last known association, they're together. And, that's always where you start, is that I think that's where the frustration is for anybody that gets around this is answers. Yeah, they're somewhere, because there's no logic to it other than that.
Right.
That somebody, quote unquote, disappears from a specific place in a small time period and other people are there. That's more than suspicious.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just sorry that, we meet people all the time, and I've met people all the time that they get to a certain point where hope dissipates, or they get a feeling that maybe this isn't a great outcome. And I think that's what we're hearing from the family.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we all had hope for a long time that maybe, he just got around the wrong people again, and maybe done something he wasn't proud of. So maybe he was just, hiding out for a little bit, or, but like you said, now something, we know something's definitely happened, and there's people that know what happened, but with it being a small town and everyone knows everyone, then, there's rumors going around, but nothing that we can prove.
And again, we don't do, I'm probably explaining, we don't do the rumors on this show because they can hurt an investigation. They can misidentify people because the rumors are literally all over the place, and to the point where I'm more and more convinced from just the stuff I've heard. And I know the listeners are probably like, we should hear it too, but we just don't do that here. But some of it, I think, is probably clearly manufactured. And we've spoke to some people like, why would you make stuff like that up? But then again, people do that to get attention. But what it does is it drives you all nuts when that stuff, because we've interviewed more than one person in the family where people will say those things. And it's like, if it's not true, why would you even repeat it? And if it is true, why aren't you talking to the state police?
Yeah.
That's the bitter part about this whole thing. So
I think my aunt, everything that she's heard, she has tried to have it investigated. But like you said, like one day it's something and the next day it's something different. And I think until we get answers or find Timmy, it's driving my aunt and my grandmother crazy.
I can imagine.
Like she's just, it's driving us all crazy, but as a mother, I can only imagine not having the answers. And Timmy was her oldest. So.
You said exactly what I think when I get around these, and I used to investigate these, is that I was around it, but there's a part of my heart that can't go there with my child or my stepson. There's a part of me that I don't want to. Yeah. That's why I respect so many people that are surviving this, that are somehow they're making the next breath work, and which makes it more important why people need to come forward and stop that pain.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's daily talking to his dad with Tim, Big Tim. It's daily, obviously.
Yeah, and I think that's our hope with this, Bree, is for your all's family to find some kind of answers. I mean, I know, David, you don't investigate anymore, but we're hoping that this gets out there to enough people. And like we've said, as small as Nicholasville is, that it'll get in somebody's ear and make them feel like, I know what happened and I got to tell. Because I can't imagine knowing something and that eating me up, that someone's done something and I'm holding that a secret. So all it takes is pissing one person off and they'll end up telling on you eventually anyway.
Right.
But I think just, I do agree, and this is only my opinion, that there is some kind of foul play. And, I mean, I don't know, maybe it could have been an accident, but even if it was an accident that happened there, maybe an accidental overdose, where is he?
Right.
What have you done with him?
Right.
There we go.
And that's something else, we were considering, with Timmy being a recovering addict and just getting out of jail and maybe being around people that he should have been, and maybe he done something.
Tried something and it was too much or the wrong stuff.
Right. Then call someone or take him to a hospital. I think something like that happened and people got scared. And
Which again makes it ridiculous on their part, because there's a limited opportunity to come forward with information before you're truly part of it, and you can't separate yourself from it. If somebody knew that was the case,
and you tell that forward. Night, it's not going to look as bad as 5 months later. You're saying, well, here's really what happened.
Right.
You're not a hero, but at the same time, you're doing the right thing.
Right.
And we can make this right. People can make that right.
I feel like, and as his family, we know Timmy wasn't a saint. We know he had his issues, but we still loved him. And if something like that were to happen, I don't think, you can't blame anyone else.
Right.
He was grown. Right. He made his own decisions, but we just want to know.
Yeah, just tell. That's our hope, is that you all get answers, whether they're one way or the other. And I know from us talking to his grandmother and his dad, we've yet, at this point, haven't talked to his mother, but they just want answers so they can, have closure to it, if that's the case.
Yeah. And I know for Big Timmy, Little Timmy was his only child. So,
right.
My aunt, she's got other children, but she just lost a daughter in 2020. So now Timmy.
Yeah.
So I can. It's heartbreaking.
Well, the other thing too is that people who listen and watch are going to learn who Timmy is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, down to the detail, and that's the other thing we love doing, is that, like you said, things get quiet as time goes on. We even as human beings, we become statistics. We're a count on a missing person count every year. You know what I'm saying? And I know that sounds rough, but and people have opinions, but I think it's important for the people out there listening to know who Timmy is.
Yeah.
And they're putting together, like we're putting together, that he came from a really tight, bonded family, that he was loyal. He had faults. We all have faults, but he was capable of love.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like he had done a lot of stuff and a lot of soul searching in this stint that he'd come out with. And if somebody robbed him of that, they need to pay for that.
I agree.
And if they've held with information back to help the family heal, they probably ought to pay for that too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's well, if you could ask people in the community for help or ask them to take action, what would that sound like? What would you do?
Just keep searching. Keep it there in your mind. You might hear something, might see something, and even though it might not seem big or significant, it could be a turning point. Just remember to be kind and just treat others how you want to be treated. And I guess just keep looking. I don't want it to, just become stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know it was getting some attention, but I feel like as time goes on, people tend to forget like about the person. And like you said, it becomes
That's it.
more like a statistic.
Mhm.
But Timmy was a part of our family. And we just want answers. And we just ask everyone to just try not to forget. Don't let him become a number.
Let's keep his name alive and who he is, and push to get that, and push to get those answers.
Well, we sure hope that somebody comes forward, whether it's on their own accord or through listening to this and maybe having some guilt for it, or, our hearts certainly go out to you all. And like David said, we've learned a lot about who Timmy is through doing this, and honestly, how much pain your all's family's going through. So we are hopeful that we can help you all find answers.
Yeah, this is amazing. I mean, thank you all for doing this.
Well, thank you for coming to do it. I know it's not easy to talk about, and it's one of those things where
it's different watching it on the TV.
It is. It's very different.
Because you always think like, wow, I feel for that family. Like I couldn't imagine. But then when you're in something like this,
your feet are in those shoes, it's
surreal.
Different. Yes.
And I think that's what me and Wendy's put together. You all are wonderful people going through the worst nightmare that people could go through. And you don't have that coming. And Timmy didn't have that coming for sure. So hopefully the awareness helps. And again, letting people know who Timmy is.
Well, thank you again so much, Bree, for coming and sharing your perspective of who your and Timmy's relationship, and what you're hoping that someone, like you said, will come forward and just keep him alive, his memory alive.
Yeah.
So thank you so very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. The Murder Police podcast is hosted by Wendy and David Lyons and was created to honor the lives of crime victims, so their names are never forgotten. It is produced, recorded, and edited by David Lyons. The Murder Police podcast can be found on your favorite Apple or Android podcast platform, as well as at murderpolicepodcast.com, where you will find show notes, transcripts, information about our presenters, and a link to the official Murder Police podcast merch store, where you can purchase a huge variety of Murder Police podcast swag. We are also on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, which is closed caption for those that are hearing impaired. Just search for the Murder Police podcast and you will find us. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe for more and give us 5 stars and a written review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you download your podcasts. Make sure you set your player to automatically download new episodes so you get the new ones as soon as they drop. And please tell your friends. Lock it down, Judy.